Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are at PlayStation Experience 2017. We are still broadcasting from Anaheim. We have a ton of content ahead, including The Forest. And I am joined by Michael and Guillaume from End Night Games. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you.
Justin's down there. He's looking good. Hi, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Hi, buddy. I'm excited about this particular segment, not only to have you guys on the show, but also because The Forest is a open world, very non-linear experience where players just survive. And that sounds like my jam. It sounds like the jam of a lot of people that like games that just let you go and don't put you on a leash. And I think you guys brought gameplay demo to show us. But as we get that queued up, tell me a little bit about what was the starting point, that like kernel that began The Forest? Or I should say an acorn that began The Forest.
An acorn. Well, I guess it was heavily inspired by Minecraft. Just that, obviously, player freedom, and also that sense of when it first goes dark in Minecraft, and then it suddenly becomes this totally different experience where it's it's scary and all the zombies and things are coming out. And you got to fend them off, and I think we wanted to sort of take that idea, but do it in a really with really realistic graphics, and pour as much of the kind of cool effects and things into it as we could, and then base the game around that kind of experience.
Kind of put your own spin on that one particular element that you really enjoyed. So what kind of makes it your own spin? What kind of makes the game? What are people going to be attached to when they start playing this? What's going to make people want to come back and play more?
The name The Forest.
Well, it's a survival horror game. So there's obviously the survival aspect, but then there's quite a elaborate building component to everything. Like we have a very simple to use but elaborate building system, and you can chop down every single tree in the forest and create either like a little shack in the woods if you want, or a giant seaside. You can cover the whole land in wooden castles if you want. We've had players that have done that in the past.
Cool. Looks like we've got some gameplay up here.
Yeah, let's get it.
So yeah, you can feel free to narrate what we're seeing. Explain to us kind of what we're seeing here.
This is the very beginning of the game. This is how you start. You start on a plane with your son next to you.
So I'm gonna take a wild guess that this plane ride is not gonna end very well.
Well, things go bad pretty quickly.
I've got a flight in a couple days. Don't do this. It's like watching Final Destination and then not wanting to travel anywhere.
Yep, it can never go well for a video game airplane ride.
But this time you get to survive.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's the start of The Forest.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah.
That's how you start. And then we get a little more setup here.
That's where you get the beginning of the story.
Whoa.
What?
So that's your son and
Mysterious character.
yeah.
What is going on, you guys?
You pass out, wake up the next day.
Are you serious? Come on, why would you do that to me? This is such a hard way to start a game.
Oh man.
Yeah,
This is not what I was
You're just
expecting.
gonna tug at the heartstrings right away.
Tired, hungry, and you don't know where you are.
You don't know where your son's gone, obviously, but
You told me this game was called The Forest. I thought we were going to go for a nice stroll.
There's like mystical sprites wafting about, and nope, it is brutal survival horror.
no, there are parts of the forest that can be quite tranquil, and when you're not being harassed by anybody and you're just building, it's there.
Does that time come?
Yeah.
So there are quiet moments.
At the beginning of the game is pretty quiet,
Okay.
unless you get really unlucky.
See how
but,
pretty it is. You're in a nice forest. It's
You guys have
warm.
deceived me once.
And I believe you guys have written that this game is largely like your childhood adventures in a forest if you threw in a bunch of crazy cannibals and really horrifying, life-threatening situations.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Super.
that childhood ideal of just playing in a forest with your friends and running around with sticks and making up adventures, and that's kind of the once you get into multiplayer, that's literally what you do. You just run around with your buddies and
Make a little
and
shack.
do cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
The animation on that hatchet swing that you keep doing there, it looks super intense. How long did you spend trying to get that animation just right?
Just that one.
that was actually one of the first ones we put in.
Yeah?
'Cause when we first put in the suitcases on the ground, and then we realized you should probably be able to break them open, right? So we put in the downward axe chop, and then it kind of worked pretty well
Yeah.
first time. So.
So here's a question I often ask developers that come on and have open world experiences that they've been designing. How do you as a team manage that sort of spectrum between giving a player direction or helping them understand what they can do and not putting them on a leash and just having everything, the gameplay itself? I mean, where do you find that balance and how do you guys design around that?
Yeah, that was definitely an issue, like, because we wanted to go like from the beginning, like kind of just full open, like no missions, no NPCs telling you what to do,
Right.
like very little guidance at all. And we kind of, at one point, we had to put in that opening cutscene with your son being taken away to kind of give you some direction,
Right.
like give you an overarching goal to sort of work towards if you want to. But then apart from that, then we just kind of set players loose in the world and let them go. But then we scatter the world with lots of little environmental storytelling things. Like there's lots of clues to find, and the more you explore, you'll start to discover little hints about what's actually happening on this land and maybe where your son's gone.
I'll probably get curious about the story too.
Yeah. I mean, most people just start the game and start building stuff like straight away.
Yeah,
And
I see we're getting into some building here right now.
Yeah, so
there
Evan's
we
just
go.
crafted himself a nice axe,
Oh, nice.
and he's probably going to chop down a tree soon. There we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, so far, this seems very peaceful besides the horrific crash at the beginning of the demo.
Yeah, well, it's good to have the light contrast the
Yes.
darkness that
Is
comes.
there
That comes.
something where the enemies are going to come just when you don't expect them and they're going to scare the crap out of you? Or are you going to kind of know what you're getting into when you go into those situations?
It happens. It
Yeah.
happens. You get surprised sometimes.
Yeah, because the enemies, or the creatures that live here, just kind of roam the land. Like they have their own sort of goals and paths that they take, and they'll come and investigate noises. And if you make a fire at night, that'll tend to draw attention. And
So I couldn't choose to just live out a peaceful life in the forest here.
you can try, like, if you like there are remote parts of the map that are less inhabited, and
Oh, yeah.
if you don't chop down trees, if you don't light fires, you could huddle in a cave somewhere. And
If you don't play the game, then nobody will come after you.
yeah, but you could
How
do that.
far does the building system go? Because you had mentioned that there's some light base building. Is that actually pretty advanced, or is it just like, basic defenses that you can help hold down
It
your area
goes
at night?
pretty far. From the start, you're just going to make like a little shack
Right.
and some fire to warm up, maybe some storage to keep items for later. And then as time goes on, maybe you want more safety, build some traps, and if you want to be creative or just make something big, then we have all those bricks that are procedural, and you can make little foundation and then add some walls on it, and then some floors, make multi-floor structures.
Nice.
You
Wow.
can cut holes in the floors, put some stairs through it, so you can go all the way.
So it's like full-on base building going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And that UI, let me talk about that UI for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
I'm such a UI junkie, so that looked so nice. But here, we're getting a little bit of I think a shack is going to be going up right now, our little cabin
Yeah,
in the
I think
woods.
Just putting up a few walls.
that's the procedural walls.
This is actually exactly what it's like to build.
in the
Yeah.
wilderness, this is how you build. Yeah.
I have a question. Is our hero ever going to get to take a bath? Because his arm's looking pretty rough there.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question.
You can go in water and wash it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it'll wash
Absolutely.
off because you can actually get infected if you leave it too long.
Oh, really?
You'll
What?
You'll get some negative.
I mean, I was making a
effects.
gag, but I guess that's actually a mechanic in the game.
Yeah.
it is.
And then tell us a little bit about, there's some stealth components to the forest as well, correct?
Yep.
How does that mix in with the survival, and like when would that benefit you versus just going sprinting into the forest with an axe drawn?
I mean, it really depends on your playstyle, I guess. Like depending where you are in the forest, you get more of a stealth bonus. Like if you're surrounded by trees and crouching and not moving, then you're generally pretty hidden from view. If you go right into a bush and just sit there, then you're basically completely hidden. Enemies should walk straight past you.
And you have a little indicator on the screen, so you know if you have a chance of being stealthy.
I love how organically you guys are conveying information here, rather than just like having an icon pop up when you gather something. You're physically carrying it and you stack them, so I assume you can only carry a few at a time of any given object.
Yeah, you can carry like 2 logs at a time. you know, it took like 5 logs to make that one piece of wall that was a door. So, yeah, I mean, to make a little cabin like that, it's not going to take you that long. Like
Yeah, and I like how
5 or 6 trees.
you're basically laying out a blueprint of your structure,
Yeah.
and you can build it over time, right?
Yeah, you put it down and then you plonk it down in the world where you want, and that's really good when you're playing with multiple people, because then you can all just come in and start like working on the same object, because everyone sees each other's blueprints. So it's
You've got the nice little kind of reminder in the bottom left corner showing you the things that you need to build what you've laid out to, it looks like. So yeah, it looks like you guys have gone really kind of user-friendly, very kind of simple in terms of the way the crafting stuff works. About as simple as a complex crafting system like this can be.
yeah, definitely. We're always trying to just make it as simple and as visual as you can. Like we really
Have the least
don't like
vibe possible.
don't like having tutorials if we can avoid it, and you know.
I like that he's still carrying a lighter in broad daylight, just to
Is that on the bottom right? Is that a hunger and thirst meter I see there?
Yeah, that's your it tracks your health with the red bar, and you have stamina with the blue one.
Gotcha.
Every action you'll be draining a little bit of stamina, and you can take things to replenish that. And then there's the stomach, which is your
Sure.
food level, and the water next to that.
Cool.
And can you forgive me if I'm wrong, but were you guys had an early access release on other platforms? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's been in PC early access.
What tell us a little bit about what kind of learnings that brings you, because the games that I track that do early access style releases, it seems like you can learn a lot from your early player base, and your game from the time that it starts to the time that it formally launches is often very different.
Yeah, it was a really learning experience for us, because once we released the early access back in 2014, and then it did quite well straight away, and we were like, because we were always sort of imagining we'd be done within 6 months to a year after that, and then we started setting these timers where it's like, okay, we'll release a patch in roughly every 3 weeks, and there's a timer in the game which tells you when the next patch is coming.
Cool.
So it kind of keeps us to a schedule and keeps the players from getting too upset about when the next update would be coming. but then that
You're
just
being
kind of
transparent.
yeah. But then that sort of process, just like the game kept growing in popularity, and people just kept requesting all sorts of things they wanted to see, and we only had single player in the beginning, and everyone was calling for multiplayer, so we decided to put in co-op, which was a big change after.
That's not just something that you can wander over and drop into your game, right?
Well, we thought we could, but yeah, that's.
How big is the team?
Uh,
May I ask?
Well, I mean, there's
Under 10 people.
we're under 10 people at the moment. We're sort of the 5 full-time developers that have been working on it for the full 4 years, and then we've had quite a big outsourcing team.
Awesome.
I mean, Guillaume works from France, and me and Ben and Anna, who are the owners of the company, are based in Vancouver, and then our sound guys were in Australia, and we've had some contractors doing art and things like that over the years, and it's.
Are you guys
a
ever
global
able to get the
operation.
whole team together to like catch up on things, or just to grab a drink?
Yeah, normally when we go to shows like this, we'll fly people down, and then so once a year or so.
Or for a barbecue, just get everybody together.
Yeah, we've come across a nice little gathering area here. Maybe we could all meet up in the game here and grill up a rabbit or something.
Tell us a little bit about that. When you said co-op, what kind of co-op are we talking about? Is it local? Is it online? How's it set up?
It's online. Like one person hosts the game, and then other people join into his game. So it's just peer-to-peer. And it's, normally between 4 to 8 people.
Oh, wow.
Is the sort of limit we have.
That's still a lot. Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not supposed to be like a big kind of, battle royale between different camps or anything. It's more
Definitely not PvP, yeah.
Yeah, it's not designed as PvP. I mean, you could play it that way if you wanted to, but
You can grief people.
yeah, there's a lot of griefing that goes on. But yeah, the idea is you all crash on the same plane, so you'll have 4 people wake up instead of 1.
Oh, I see.
And then the game is exactly the same in multiplayer, even in terms of the story. Like you can play through the story content with 4 people versus 1, and yeah, it's just the fun it brings from having other people, because it really changes just the tone of the game. Whereas in single player, this is still the kind of idyllic part of it, but once it gets really scary, people say they don't like playing it.
Yeah, I imagine that changes when you've got more people.
Yeah, but then they say, but I play it with my husband in multiplayer, and we have a great time. So
yeah. So we've got just a makeshift spear that we've built here out of a stick, and I saw our player trying to kill some rodents with it earlier.
Go hunting. And I think we missed that he had found a photograph or something, right, on the ground. Is that one of those environmental story cues you mentioned?
Oh, right.
Yep. Well, we'll see it later.
Yeah.
we have rabbits to hunt.
We wandered past a rope going down into a hole in the ground, which we sadly walked right past. I was kind of hoping they would go down there so we would see what happened.
Well, we might be able to go back there if we get enough time, because if we don't run into any enemies.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Oh, yeah. Well.
So, yeah, what's...
I don't know, guys. This looks a little risky.
We're doing it.
All right, we're going. We're going down.
There we go.
Okay, get that lighter.
So the other part of the game is this vast network of caves that's all below the ground. And this is where we keep a lot of the really scary stuff, and also a lot of the higher level items and cool things you might want to collect. But you've got to go through the
high risk, high reward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of the story content you can find through caves
and creatures.
What is going on? Those little worms?
Yeah, this is probably not recommended to do this unless you're more prepared. But
okay, are you kidding me? You guys, no!
Get him!
Hey.
Yeah! Oh god.
I didn't know. I thought this was like a normal forest.
This isn't
not
a forest anymore.
This is the worst kind of forest.
Oh god. So wait, if you torch that thing and cook it, could you then eat it?
Not that one.
Not that one.
Not that one.
Not healthy.
There's other types you can actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, more regular animals.
So when we first saw this thing, I saw our hero open up the crafting menu. Does time pass while you're crafting, or does that mercifully pause the game for you so you have a moment to collect your thoughts?
No, there's no mercy in this game, clearly.
In single player, yeah, it's going to pause the game.
Oh yeah.
In multiplayer, it's not possible, obviously, so it doesn't. And if you go in the harder difficulty modes, then it doesn't pause either. So you really got to go prepared into fights.
Okay. So that didn't seem to be too happy of an ending for...
Well, on that happy note of terrifying horrors and being hung upside down, it seems like.
Yeah.
Seems like the
it doesn't end there.
Okay. No, certainly not. Before we let you guys go, do you have any parting words, or are you guys talking about when you would like to target a release date on PS4?
We're targeting the second quarter of 2018.
So we're coming up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to be PS4 Pro.
All right. Excellent.
Really excited to try and get it out there.
I'm excited to be terrified. Yeah, totally excited and scared. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Good luck to finish what it sounds like a long and terrifying journey in development. And everyone that is joining us, thank you guys so much for watching. We still have a lot ahead, so please stay with us. We are still broadcasting from PlayStation Experience 2017 in Anaheim, California. Do not go anywhere. Stay with us.
プレイステーション